Okay.
Yeah.
Look for the good. You got it.
Sorry, guys.
It's all good. Don't worry about it.
Okay. You meant good.
You're like the sub that comes off the bench and he gets in and he just like he shoots the wrong way. Like I'm talking about myself, by the way. He goes like on the wrong side. He shoots. He's like, yeah, you know, his parents are all excited and like he totally messed up the game.
I
Like,
show up 40
I'm
minutes
so
late.
sorry. He goes on the bench the rest of the season. I messed it up. The one thing I did.
Sorry.
Okay. I'm telling you too much about myself as a kid growing up. It's embarrassing. Okay. So anyway, like this. By the way, you resonated too much with that story. I'm a little concerned about you. You resonated a little bit too much with that story. Think about it. Okay. So like this. He says a person, he fell in his taivas. And he fell in the power of imagination. Why? Secular wisdom. Now what do you do to get out? So if Nachman's saying like this, you're not going to be able to use your intellect to get out anymore. Because your intellect is blemished. You are now going to have to learn emunah. So she took the scarf that was above her head, above intellect, and she placed it on him and said, the only way you're going to find me is by going above your mind now. Emunah. And you're going to have to go very far to find me. To the Golden Mountain and the Pearl Castle. So we're going to have to discuss this a little bit. What is this Golden Mountain? Okay. One thing we're saying, it means that she's far out of reach now. She's still available, but she's very far now from him. Okay. 2. We're learning in this Torah in Likutey Moharon that the deeper the level of Torah understanding that you desire, the more money you need to have. If you haven't been here for the classes, that's not going to make sense to you. The wealth may not be physical wealth, it might be spiritual wealth, or it may be physical wealth. We'll see. Maybe both. But either way, there is some type of concept of you need wealth. You need a shirut. You need wealth to learn higher levels of Torah. We know that according to the Zohar, that Hashem, the Shekhinah, and the Torah are all one. So if the Torah and the Shekhinah are one, that means that the lost princess is also the Torah. She's also the thing that's in exile. Okay? Now, where can she be found? Only in the Golden Mountain. Sounds like to get there, he's going to need a lot of money, no? Interesting. To get the Shekhinah, to get the deep Torah understanding, he's going to need money to get to that Golden Mountain. Okay? Another point that I want to bring out. You'll notice, where was the Torah kept in the Beit HaMikdash? In the Aron. And the Aron was covered in gold. So we have another illusion here that the Torah, so to speak, it's not with you anymore. You have to go find it now in the Aron. In the gold. Meaning, you can't get in there unless you're very wealthy.
You'll die in the Kodesh HaKodeshim if you have any bad thought, any mundane, any
secular wisdom
thought, you'll die.
Yeah.
You can't be in the same place as the Torah /
it's covered in gold.
/ the Shekhinah, also place of the Shekhinah.
Right? And what did we say that wealth, the essence of wealth is? Yira. What happens when you learn secular wisdom? Your yira goes down the drain.
Now you think it's you.
Right? So exactly. So now what happens? In order to access the Shekhinah now, you need to rectify your yira. That's the goal. And how do you get that? Through Emunah.
The secular studies essentially just increases your ego.
Yes, and so it decreases your yira. Your yesh goes up and your ayin goes down.
What's a secular wisdom considered?
Oh,
Like
you missed yesterday's class. Yes,
Everything
whenever
that
you're
they
busy
teach at
reading, you're
school.
very philosophical, I can tell. Philosophy for sure. Any type of like mamish philosophy. Rav Nachman says, "Asr, don't touch it." Okay. Then on top of that, we have more specifics. We'll try to get to those and cipher it all out. Okay. Another interesting point to note. In the Aron that was made of gold, so we're trying to connect that maybe the Shekhinah, the lost princess, is the Torah. It's in the Aron, which is the gold, that's the Golden Mountain. Something interesting that we know. What were the dimensions of that Aron?
70 by wait.
6 cubits?
No, that was the Luchot. That was 6 by 6.
12 by 12.
Just keep saying numbers,
wait.
guys. You don't need any resources to make. Yeah.
45.
I was joking. Okay. 0 by 0. Is a very famous Gemara that explains that the Aron didn't take up any physical space. So how are we going to understand this? How do you understand that? How do you understand? You guys never heard that before? That the Aron didn't take up any space?
I heard it was a miracle and people would come to the temple 3 times a year.
And they would also...
Everyone would just fit.
Right, so that's connected to the Aron. Okay? It had no dimensions of space. Yes. So we see another reason why it's hard to find her. She's not physical.
Even though it could look physical.
Yes. Okay. Another point.
So it was there, but it wasn't there.
It's there, but it's not there. It's like me. I'm here, and then I'm not. I'm here, and then I'm not. Okay, that's great. The Arizal states that the purification of Jewish souls is corresponding to the process of purifying gold. Another interesting connection. He says the lost princess, which is the Jewish souls that are in exile, is now covered in gold. And how do you get the gold out, the good out of the gold? It needs to be purified. Meaning, now the Shekhinah, the good in every Jew, can't just be taken out. It needs to go through deep purification like gold. So this is another element of it.
Isn't it more like diamond in the rough?
Also, it's connected, but gold has to be purified tremendously. It has to go through very high temperatures in order to take out all of the impurities from the gold. And it's very clear from Chazal that us going through Mitzrayim was exactly that. And Mitzrayim is not just that one exile, it's all the exiles called Mitzrayim. All of your difficulties is really Hashem is taking out the impurities from you.
You said Aron Kodesh was 0 by 0?
It didn't take up any space. It wasn't literally 0. It just it had no physical. It didn't take up physical space.
No, because I'm trying to.
You can't visualize that. Yeah, there's nothing. As soon as you do, your eyes are just gonna go like this. I don't know how to do that, but I wish I could. Yeah.
Like imagine.
No, because I was thinking about the Philistine that took the Aron Kodesh
Yes.
and then they returned it.
Right.
So what did they took 0 by 0? You know what I'm saying?
So I'm imagining that when they took it, it had dimensions, and when they put it back, it didn't have any
Imagine
dimensions.
your apartment is 1,000 square feet. It's a small cabinet. That takes up like 6 square feet.
Great question.
Yes,
But when you measure everything,
Daniel's
it still
he's
comes
one of the
out.
deep souls from the darkness that we're lifting out. Yeah. No, it's good. I'm with you. Don't worry. We're on the same page. Okay, good. Now, one more point. Or actually, 2 more points. When Adam and Noah, who represent the first 2 eras, right? They were the first 2 tzaddikim, so to speak. Adam ate from the tree, and he fell asleep for a little bit.
And Noah drank the wine.
Noah drank the wine. Fell asleep for 70 years, okay?
He got his things amputated.
Right, so now we understand why. Noah's exile was worse. Power of imagination, secular wisdom. He got off the boat, he was a moon, a shleima, and all of a sudden someone gave him a book of philosophy, and he's like... And he conked out, and he was done for 70 years. Okay, good. So now...
And couldn't have kids after that.
And he couldn't have kids after that. Very good. He couldn't give birth to children. Now listen, it's very interesting. Then, what did you need to do to rectify your soul, to find the lost princess? 7 mitzvot. And they didn't cost any money. But now, the Jewish people need to do 613 mitzvot. And some of them cost money. Meaning, now the Shekhinah is not just available to you, she's in the Golden Mountain. You mamish need money now to find her. You didn't need money before to find her.
Now we have to actually work.
Yeah, and pay for things. Yeah, exactly. So another interesting point. Last point, or last 2 points I don't know.
Which is going to make it even harder for our Imuna.
Yes.
So we have to go out of work.
Yes.
It's going to be much harder
Why?
to
Because
now.
it's a deeper exile now.
Wow.
It's a deeper exile now. So we need to go through that whole business exile, which is the hardest. Okay. Couple more points, and the reason I'm spending a lot of time just speaking about this Golden Mountain is because it's the whole key to the second half of the story. Okay, so I want to give you as much, beef up the whole thing so that when we get to the next part, you're going to understand the second part of the story. Another point I want to say. You'll notice something interesting. We've been going with the assumption that the viceroy is the tzaddik, and the lost princess is the Shekhinah. Or Emunah. However, we know that Emunah is very connected the soul of Mashiach. that Mashiach, he's going to redeem us through the quality of Amunah. He's going to teach the Jewish people Amunah. And we know that it said about David when he wrote Tehillim, the reason why every Jew connects to it is because when you take all of the souls of the Jewish people together and it's one unified soul, that one unified soul is called David. It's called the Shekhinah. He was the physical male representation of the Shekhinah. That's the reason why the Arizal says he had a completely female soul.
David?
Yes. The only other Jew that we know that was a big tzaddik who had female property was Yitzchak. That he had a female soul, and then there was the Akedah, and then he got a male soul. And that's why he couldn't get married.
You mean Yitzchak, no?
Yitzchak, right. So Yitzchak had a female soul, the Arizal says. Then he had the Akedah. He received a male soul, and immediately you see right after Akedah he gets married. He couldn't do it before. Why? Because he has a female soul. Great question. That's the next question. I don't know the answer to that question. But
What was that question?
but
David also had a
female soul, he should also not be able to get married. Maybe it was a
Never heard
cover
about David
up.
having a female.
Just kidding. He's the only one who got that. Okay, no. David had a completely female soul his whole life, but that is the key to his being the king. The key to him saving the Jewish people is that he's not rooted in revealed truth. He's rooted in Hibodadu. He's rooted in Tefillah. He's rooted in hidden. And because of that, that's the concept of the female. She's not going to teach you the revealed Torah. She's going to teach you the hidden Torah. That's what the Mashiach is going to do. Why?
Has to be hidden.
She has to be hidden.
Tzniut.
Right, Tzniut, right? So she's David. So in that case, the lost princess is really David. And the viceroy is the tzaddik. So it's like an interesting twist. That the viceroy is trying to bring the Mashiach back to Hashem. Is trying to bring the soul of David back to Hashem so he can redeem the world.
And who's the servant?
So that's another question. We said that the servant could be the intellectual part of his soul. Okay, but
It needs to be the servant.
right? But why am I telling you that? I'm not trying to confuse you. I'm trying to add another point. This mountain that the lost princess, the Shekhinah, was taken to was a golden mountain. Now, you'll notice the Midrash says, where did Hashem find David? In Stone. And we know that Stone was very, very wealthy. It was one of the only 3 places in the Torah where wealth is mentioned. Meaning they had gold there. Meaning the golden mountain is Stone. It's the darkest, deepest exile. And there is where David is found. There is where the soul of Mashiach is found. That's where the lost princess is now. She's found in Stone. Okay? Stone.
Wealth in his daughters.
Stone. Okay.
Some of his daughters, that's where Mashiach's generation started.
Yes. Last point I want to bring out, and then we're going to move forward in Likutey Moharon. Okay? Last point I want to bring out is like this. Let's say that whole Perush I just gave you is true. The viceroy is the tzaddik, and the lost princess is the Mashiach. Okay? So now it's very interesting. Why? Because Rav Nachman says that when the Mashiach comes, his parents are going to be average. There's not going to be anything unusually unique or special about them, especially in the spiritual realm. Sounds like his parents are going to be secular, no? That's what I get, okay? Meaning that as opposed to the Tzaddik Yesod Olam, who's maybe like the great-grandson of the Baal Shem Tov, who's been pure since birth, right? The Mashiach is found in stone. David is found in stone. He's the Baal Tshuva. He's found in the darkest places. And now, my own connection. Maybe what wakes up David at the end is the tzaddik. Who takes David, the soul of Mashiach, out of the secular world, out of stone, out of exile? Likutey Moharon. The tzaddik's teachings, they wake him up. Think about all
So you're saying that Rabbi Nachman's teaching is going to wake up whoever Mashiach is?
Maybe. That's my own little...
But they say that Mashiach knows that he's Mashiach.
No, that's not true.
Yes, it is.
No, that's not true at all. Opposite. They say Mashiach does not know he's Mashiach.
Moshe didn't know he was Moshe.
Moshe didn't know he was Moshe, and that's the proof. That's the proof on a simple level, and on a deeper level, we know that for Mashiach to become Mashiach, he needs to reveal the highest level of his own soul, which he doesn't know he has yet.
I thought Donald Trump was Mashiach.
Oh my God! Get out of the class. This is the one thing I have no patience for. I promise you, Hashem is not going to make.
See what happened with this?
Listen, his parents are secular.
Did he get new hair transplants?
You see what happened with this?
Yo, did you see what happened on news today?
No.
Wow.
Are you kidding me? Donald Trump.
I
is
stopped
literally-
looking at secular wisdom.
Donald Trump is literally teaching a Jew how to love a Jew. Meaning he's teaching Netanyahu how to love the Jewish people. I'm not even joking with you. Today history happened.
That's secular wisdom watching the news.
It's a higher level.
That's what I just said. He got upset.
If I'm watching
Who's giving you the news? Everybody has their own perspective. Fox News doesn't sound like that. So it's obviously not absolute truth. If it's not absolute truth, what is it? It's not secular wisdom.
But do you understand what Donald Trump is setting up over here? Democrats are living.
Check it. Okay, guys, we need this last half an hour. We have a lot to cover, okay? Very quickly, very quickly, and don't ask me how this is. Quick review, and then we'll move forward. In order to get to the deepest level of Torah, you need wealth. How do you get wealth? You need length of days. What is length of days? Added kedusha in your days. Added learning sessions. Added hibodedut. More intense tefillah. Helping other Jews. Giving more tzedakah. Whatever. Adding kedusha to your day. However much you're doing usually, you add a little bit more and a little bit more. Somehow this brings you wealth. Why somehow? Because by doing that, you get yira. No, you don't. It just works. Okay. You
How
get.
does it work without kavanah?
This doesn't need kavanah. This doesn't mean that you don't need kavanah for your activities. You need to have the kavanah of the activity. If you're learning, you need to be thinking about learning. But he's saying, do I need to be thinking that this brings this and this brings that and this brings that? This is bechina this and this is bechina. You don't need to know that. Okay. Is yira. Yira is the key to all of this. Yira is the key to all of this, okay? Again, we're saying yira is not, I'm scared of being punished. This is not yira, that's pachad. I'm fearful. Yira is, I'm in awe. Yira is, I'm overwhelmed with something's magnitude. The greatness of something, the beauty of something. It's just, it's too overwhelming for me to function. Meaning, to have my own ego. Yira is the killing of the ego. And it comes from seeing the bigness of something else in relationship to yourself. Like when you're with a big tzaddik, you shrink. Why do you shrink? Because you see his giantness, even if he's very small. And your ego starts to, and you're fine with that. You're happy for it to shrink. You don't even care. Our enemy is our ego. The antithesis of the ego is yira. Yira. Okay? So we said, when a person has yira, he attains wealth. So we're going to have to find out why are these things connected right now. So listen to this. It's a very deep thing. It's a very interesting thing. You're never going to see Torah like this anywhere. Try to follow with me. This is probably Benny's favorite part of any lesson we ever did. He's not here right now. We'll have to tell him about it. I'm sure he's read it and meditated over these things many times. Hem shnei afachim. Beauty, physical beauty, and real wealth are completely diametrically opposed. Opposed. Real, true beauty and physical wealth are diametrically opposed. Okay? Why? Ki ashirut hu me'arichut hanashima. Because wealth comes from shortness of breath. From extended breathing. Real wealth. Real wealth comes from extended breathing. That was a deep breath you just took over there. You're putting into practice immediately. I like it. That's a real chassid over there.
I was actually talking to him about breathing a little earlier.
Okay, good. So we're going to learn about breathing. Yeah. Oh, Kotzer Ruach. Wow, he's good. He should come more often. He should come more often. We're going to speak about this. I have a whole chiddush based on what you just said. Kotzer Ruach, okay? The key to being rich, which we're going to learn what is the essence of wealth, we're going to see, is extended breathing. Not this. Okay? V'yofi, where does beauty come from? Physical beauty? Mehafseka neshima. It comes from a pausing of your breathing, suspended breathing, suspended physical breathing. Yeah, exactly.
The moment before we take the next breath.
Yes,
There's
suspended breathing. Wealth comes from. But that girl walked down the. Yeah.
You can't breathe when you see beauty.
You're gonna see the essence of it in a second. Wait to see how graphic Rav Nachman gets in a second. You're gonna see it's very deep things about to say. Listen. Because at the moment that a male ejaculates, he needs right before he ejaculates to stop breathing. He's like, nice. This is news to me.
where is Benny?
Yeah, where's Benny? Where's Benny? Hey, you ever think about it?
That's true.
Yeah, it's true, Benny. Yeah. At the moment right before, you have to stop breathing. What is the essence of that act? It's coming from attraction. So the essence of beauty, you stop breathing. Okay?
Is this a fact that he's saying that happens?
Yeah, of course it is. It's a physiological thing. At the moment, it doesn't mean you stop breathing for a long time. It's a quick thing. Yeah, it's a quick pause. Yeah. You'll see, you're going to get married soon, is what they're saying. Don't tell us about it then. That person needs to first stop breathing. Mishnei Tamim. He's going to say there's two reasons for this. Listen to what he says. He was a doctor, by the way, as well. Spiritual doctor. Okay. Aleph. Kedei. Why are you laughing? You don't respect spiritual doctors? Kedei shelo yikarer atipa ayadei neshima. Why? In order so that when, because what happens when you take breaths in? When your breath goes out, it's usually warm. And when it comes in, it's usually cool. So at the moment that the semen comes out, it needs to be hot for it to fertilize. So you can't take in cool air as it's going out. This is the first reason Rav Nachman says. Very interesting. I don't know if this is...
Why are we talking about this?
Wait, are we?
Wait, you're going to see.
The pausing is happening.
It's getting your name?
Nope. Okay.
The jaw drop.
I'm putting some urine in here. What?
Zohar goes into stuff like this all the time.
Yeah, the Zohar speaks about this.
You're just socializing. This is weird to hear.
Yes. Yeah, it's your own blemish.
We have a Nina class in the House of Torah that I don't go to because of the stuff.
Okay, just wait. He's not talking about this all the time. Just wait 1 second, okay? You have to stop breathing. Why? Because if you take a deep breath in, you're going to breathe in cool air, and then your body's not going to get to the temperature it needs to get in terms of heat in order to bring out semen. Okay? That's the first reason he says. Second reason is... Oh wait, sorry. He says Shahu Avyirakar. Why? Because the air you're going to bring in is cool. Shikabel b'chol rega mibachutz. Because you're bringing it in from the outside for that one moment. That's cool air. Kitzarich letzet b'chamimut, and it needs to come out hot. Kedei sh'diyeh re'ui lecholada. Because the Gemara says very clearly that it needs to be warm, and we know this scientifically. That in, so to speak, that area that it's contained, it's cool. However, at the moment that you're about to ejaculate, it needs to increase in temperature for it to come out. So he's saying, so to speak, it's really a spiritual thing he's saying, but when your breathing stops for a moment, so now you're not taking cool air, and that's what's allowing your body to heat it up. I'm sure physiologically this is not what's taking place. I'm sure it's an internal thing, but spiritually we're going to see it still holds. What's the second reason? Because a person needs all of his power in order to bring out that drop. Therefore, you only can exert all of your power when you stop breathing. When you go to the gym, right, and you push everything into that rep, you're not breathing. You with me?
You have to hold your
I understand, but I'm saying there's a moment of exertion.
To give 100% of your strength, you need to be straining.
you hold your breath and then you
Yes, yeah, exactly. Okay. So he's saying for maximum force, you need stop breathing. Okay, so he's saying there's two reasons here. For the temperature and for the force. That's why you stop breathing right before. So now listen to how does this connect to everything we've learned so far? Ki anashima hu motzi ruach umachnis ruach. It's the concept of air going in and air going out. However, when you need all of the strength that you have in order to bring out this job, the hotzi ruach v'alken hu hafsek neshima. You can't exhale air in order to push it out, and consequently breathing is suspended. Okay, whatever. So this is the whole thing he says. Listen to why he's telling you this. Listen to what the Zohar says. Very interesting. What happens when you don't breathe for that moment? He says like this. Right before you stop breathing, you first take in a breath of air. So listen to what he says in the Zohar says. That breath of air is what leads to the composition and the temperament of your child.
In the what?
Temperament.
Of the child?
You know, some kids are restless, some kids are calm, some kids are more inclined to be spiritually oriented, some people are more physical. So the Zohar says it's that air that you breathe in right before you stop breathing that actually causes the temperament of the child. So we're gonna have to find out. Well, how do you change the quality of air? Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna find out.
Filter in the
No.
humidifier.
You guys obviously were not in the humidified air when you came out, but no, we're gonna find out where it comes from. It doesn't have to.
It's related to anything when it says Hashem blew His Spirit into man.
Wow, that's very deep. That's very deep.
God created man.
I just had a Benjamin moment.
That was good.
That was one of the Kedushim of the year. By the way, we should come up with a compilation at the end. You know, like they have like the what's it called?
Certificates.
Like the Tony Awards.
Awards.
Yeah, Kiddush of the year, bizarre Kiddush of the year. There you go.
The award will be a guy with his head exploding. That's not a statue of
Benjamin, like.
What about even like a baby's first breath?
Oh, nice. I like it. It's all connected. There's a very deep concept of breathing, okay? So now, I want to talk to you about a few things. What was happening in Klal Yisrael? In the last Parsha, we learned that in Mitzrayim they were enslaved, and at the peak of their slavery in Mitzrayim, they had kotzer ruach. They had suspended breathing. Interesting, no? They did not have extended breathing. They had shortness of breath. And they couldn't hear Moshe as a result of that. What did he just say before? Real wealth you can only have by extended breathing. Poverty, exile, comes about through kotzer ruach. Shortness of breath. Shortness of breath. Perhaps why we know, according to the Midrashim, the Jewish people were only supposed to go down there for a short period of time. And when they were able to, they were supposed to leave Egypt and go back to Israel. What happened? What happened? Does anybody know? Does anybody know?
What?
What happened to the Jews that they stayed in Mitzrayim? Why did they stay there?
Why did they stay there?
Yeah, they should have went back to Israel after the exile was over. Why didn't they leave? I'm sorry. They went down for Yosef to get the food for the
Hashem
family.
told them to stay.
No. The Midrash says because they saw they were able to build big homes. Sounds familiar,
That's not
huh?
true. I mean, maybe that's true. No, but they also said that the reason why the generation that went into Egypt,
Yes.
when Hashem told them to go,
Yes.
the exile was actually postponed until every single one of them died first. So they should be in exile because they listened to Hashem to stay in Egypt.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying. There's a clear Midrash that says that they became connected to the wealth of society. That they realized that they had the American dream situation going on in Mitzrayim at the time, and they could make it big in that place, and they started to build not temporary homes anymore, but permanent homes. Okay? And this was the beginning.
No longer wood, they start using metal.
What? Meaning what? It's not about the homes, it's about the permanence. When you build a permanent place somewhere else, even though it's not your home, you're saying, I don't choose Hashem's home for myself. I'm choosing somewhere else because I lack emunah. And that's a big problem. That's a cause of exile. Okay? So now listen to what...
Question.
One second. Questions after. Okay? This gets the awkward moment award. We gotta have that award also. Okay. So now like this. Maybe it was their focus on physicality that kept them in Mitzrayim. And why was that? Because they had shortness of breath. That was the clue. And this fits very well with what Rav Nachman says in the Breslov Agada. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it before. You should read just the introduction and your mind is going to blow out of your head, okay? Just read the introduction to the Breslov Agada. I'm telling you, everybody has the same experience. It's very deep. It's amazing. It's based on all types of results. It's amazing. Okay, so he says there that the whole exile in Mitzrayim was only to rectify wasted seed. The whole exile in Mitzrayim was just to rectify one avera, wasted seed. Whose wasted seed? Adam's. Why does the Arizal say that? Because he said that those souls that went down to Mitzrayim were the wasted seed of Adam.
After he divorced his wife.
Yes. And in the end of time, we're going to come back again, meaning that's our generation. We are all the wasted seed of Adam. Don't laugh too much. This is getting recorded.
Okay, that was
Having fun with you guys. How was that funny? Daniel with a panic attack. Okay. So we're saying like this. They're in Egypt to rectify wasted seed. We're saying the essence of wasted seed is false beauty, right? You're attracted to false beauty. Where is that coming from? Well, what's the result of that? Suspended breathing. That's why they had kotzer ruach. However, to the degree that the breath is pure and clear, prior to that the stopping of the breathing, right? Ken havalad meluban mizurez. Therefore, the offspring is likewise fair and healthy. This is what the Zohar teaches. He's not speaking about physical health. It's part, but he's speaking more about spiritual health. Meaning, what is it that makes a Jewish person more connected to spiritual things and less naturally connected? He has to work harder, so to speak, to learn and to pray. It doesn't come as naturally for him. And the answer is, what was the breath that your dad took before he stopped breathing? If it was pure air, then you come out very sensitive to spiritual things and not as attracted to physicality. And if not, it's the opposite and you have to work harder. Again, the air that you breathe in, that last breath that you take before you stop breathing, before you, is what the Zohar says, or Rav Nachman saying, is contributing to the temperament and the makeup of the child, spiritually. I'm imagining. I don't want to imagine all you guys, but
Just the last breath.
The ramifications of what you guys are learning about. Oh, I want to say something, but I can't say it. Okay, I'm going to hold it in for myself. Yes, because it's recording. It's just so funny, though. Okay, for if the breath is pure and clean, then the drop that emerges is likewise clear and clean. Why? Because he says like this. What's happening metaphysically, and he's making it sound like it's physical, is that when you take that breath and you hold it in, it's not just your semen that comes out. It's the semen and that breath. They come out together. And that's the reason why it affects the child.
So what about you just hold your breath
The whole time.
the whole time?
We have to take a breath.
So you may not survive the act of coition. Then your wife is going to have a big problem with me afterwards. Don't say anything. Don't get any problems. It's for the good. It's for the good. It's going to be very holy. And he passes out. Call the paramedics. Okay. So he says like this. Where do we see that there's a proof for this? Is there like a proof for this in Tanakh? Is there a proof for this in the Torah, this whole thing? Where did the Zohar get this from? Okay. So you're going to have very many pasukim which hint to this clearly, which is very interesting. In Tehillim, Kuf, Mem, Dalet, David HaMelech says, Adam Hevel Dama. Man is like Hevel, which is usually translated as a man's life is short-fleeted. Rav Nachman says, no, it's mamish. Man is the breath that his dad took. He is that breath. A man is that breath. He's formed by the breath. He is the breath. So that's what the pasuk is saying. Man is the pasuk says, man lahevel dama. Man is similar to breath. That's what it literally means. So Rav Nachman's saying, yeah, because why? That breath is what's contributing to the formation of that man. Okay, that's one. We have to wait. What? Oh, so let's see. Very good. Ki kafia hevel, because according to the breath, ki hitavut yalad is the formation of the child. V'zeh bechinat, and this is what it says also later or earlier in Tehillim, in Samach Bet. Ach hevel b'nei adam. The children of man are nothing but hevel, which again seems like it's vanity. And he's saying not like that. He's saying mamish, they're hevel. They are breath. Yes. Zwat Hashem. I'll make time for questions. You're interested in this? Okay. I wasn't trying to signal you out. It's okay. It's a good topic to be interested in. Because it is the breath that makes the child fair and healthy. Oh, Hevel Yofi. We say this every Shabbat. The beauty of the child comes from the Hevel. Everything's opening up. Kia Yofi, Hu Kafia Hevel, because the beauty and the health and the appearance of the child is connected to the breath that your dad took. Nimsa, Shehevel Yofi, Hu Me'afsek Neshima, but that beauty only comes from the stopping of the breathing. Va'alken Mishachomer Yofi Neshima, and when a person desires a woman, Nimsa shekabel bechinat hefsek neshima. He stops breathing. V'alken hu me'afech ma'ashirut shehu bechinat arichut neshima. Therefore, this is the opposite of wealth. Why? Because wealth comes from extended breathing.
So making children is the opposite of gathering wealth.
So to
Technically.
so to speak, for a moment at least. Okay? But we're saying like this. It's very interesting. Why? Because Hevel, or he's saying Neshima, you need extended Neshima. What is the root word Neshima? Neshama. See very clearly there's a very deep connection between breath and the soul. And like we learn, Hashem breathed the soul into man. So you see that man is Hevel. Now, interestingly also, I was thinking about this. If you think about Cain and Hevel, Hevel's name was breath. And what was his whole thing? He was a shepherd. That's a very calm job. A lot of extended breathing going on over there. And what was Cain's whole thing? It was like Esau. He was hunting.
Not a holding breath there.
Yeah, there's a lot of suspended breath over there. And you'll notice, what was the difference? Hashem accepted his and not his. Why? Because he had real wealth. Why do you have real wealth? Because he had no problem giving that wealth up to Hashem. What happened with Cain? He didn't want to give the best of his crops because he was worried about losing out. It's like us with a mitzvah. We don't want to give all of our money for it because what if we're going to lose that money? So that was Cain. But Hevel, because he was breathing deeply, because he was doing Hipotadut so he could breathe calmly, so he had Amunah. And because he had Amunah, he had no problem giving of the best of his flock. And that's why his was accepted. And you know what's amazing? The Kli Yaka, who was not a Chassid. He was not a Sephardi Jew. He was not Moharon. His name did not end with Ov.
That's not a Moharon thing, by the way.
Right.
That's a Soviet Union thing.
Whatever. Okay. The Kli Yakar, Benjamin brought this to my attention. It says explicitly in the Perush. Why was Hevel a shepherd? It said because he was obsessed with doing Hipotadut. That's what he says. He's doing Hipotadut every day, and it was the only job that would allow him to make sure he would be able to get in his Hipotadut session.
All the patriarchs were shepherds.
Okay, now very interestingly, who does the Arizal say that Hevel ends up reincarnating into?
Moshe.
Moshe was a shepherd too.
And he was a shepherd too, and he saves us. What do we all suffer from? Suspended breathing. And what does Moshe bring us? Extended breathing. Because he is Hevel.
So everybody breathe when you go home.
So what is the key?
Breathe.
Eat, bo, de, do's. Okay, guys, questions. This is Torah Samach. And it's not over yet. We have a lot more to go, and it gets even more trippy.
Is there a connection? We do this.
No. We've discussed concepts. It's not over yet. Question time. You need these questions. Very important. Lamase, how do we
Is there
get
a
into
connection when babies come out? Because babies come out always holding their breath.
Okay, we're going to go around the bend. Do you have any questions?
Literally, is there my question? You're gonna come back around to it?
I'm trying to embarrass you public so you can use it to have an 8 rutzon. Or you can pray for whatever you want. It's not working. I'm not holding by this, I guess. You have my last question?
Well, I forgot the question I was gonna ask.
Oh,
but then
it's my fault. Everything is my fault.
I have another question. So, Isaac didn't hold his breath, or what happened when, because he gave birth to
I get to Asa.
and
Oh, that's a great question. I was thinking about this also. The Arizal says very clearly, the Zohar says very clearly, this was not about their own free will. So to speak, like gold, that the dross needs to come out, or like wine, that there's dregs in the wine. Esav and Yishmael represent the dregs of the wine. Meaning there's a concept of sediment that has to come out, like extra. Which,
Basically, Hashem chose them to get the
yeah, just to get everything out. Really, what was it? The Zohar says it was the Zahuma of the Nachash. The Nachash was with Chava and polluted her. And that was not able to come out except through Esav and Yishmael. And then once Yaakov came, it was all out. So now Yaakov was able to have 12 pure children.
Wait, but
That's one question.
right,
We
but
gotta.
the same. Jacob didn't have 12 pure children because his children, his first children, what's his name?
Yeah, there were issues
He
that
was
were. Yes.
sleeping with his wife, whatever.
Yeah, okay, so the rabbis.
There's a lot of-
Okay, but the rabbis explain there's a lot more going on in these things than it appears, and they were all complete tzaddikim.
How is that Siddiqui if they sleeping with dad's wife?
Because according to the Gemara, he didn't really sleep with their wife. It was a euphemism for something else.
So the Torah is lying and the Gemara is right.
No, chas v'shalom.
So what is it? I don't understand.
Okay. Sometimes the Torah uses euphemisms. You know what a euphemism is? A euphemism.
What is it?
It's when you say something, but you mean something completely different. You're covering up. It's another way to say
So
something.
why he
else.
lost his
Birthright.
Birthright. Yes.
Because he moved
It's another way to say
bread.
something.
Bed.
He what?
He moved the bed of his mother, Abilha.
He moved it.
He moved the bed. That's what the Torah says. He moved the bed.
What does move the bed mean?
Right. So
He
that's
took a
the,
mattress.
and he moved it. He didn't want that Leah
wanted-
shouldn't be next in line when Rachel passed away, because he saw that Yaakov, he thought that Leah was going to be the main wife. But that didn't happen. He took Rachel's maidservant, Bilhah, and made her into his house. So Reuben didn't like that. Why? Because she was a maidservant. Why are you making my mother? And move the bed. We're going to have to hold. Next question.
Is there any connection to that babies come out of the womb holding their breath? And you have to make it
That's what
quiet?
he asked. It's a good question. I don't know. It's interesting.
Is that what you-
Yeah, I have to think about it.
That's all I got.
Next question.
How does this actually affect the neshamas or like the kids?
Okay, so we didn't get there yet, but on a very simple level, the purity of your thought is what influences the breath that you take. Meaning it's not from the air.
In that moment?
In that moment, in the whole act. What's your intent?
Purity of your mind.
Machshava.
Okay.
What is your thoughts when you're going into the act? Guys. No, don't do it. I know you want to. I see the move that you're at the ball.
Meditating is very connected to breathing. And meditating is
Yes,
thinking
thoughts are
about
very
something.
connected to breathing,
So
right?
what
And
you're
also,
breathing, when you
thoughts
think about
is
it,
neshama. Breathing, neshima, it's all connected. So where does the purity of your breath come from? It comes from the purity of your thoughts. Why am I with my wife? If I'm with my wife for spiritual reasons, then your breath comes out pure and your kids come out spiritually connected.
Is that like legit?
Yeah, it's real. It's a real thing.
Yeah, that was my question.
Yes, okay, that's the answer. Good to go?
I just learned about it.
Yeah, it's a real thing. There's a whole book that was just written by I forget, something Eliyahu. He's a Baal Tshuva. He's like one of the biggest Gedolim of our generation in Halacha and in Kabbalah. He wrote a whole sefer on how do you have the holiest children.
Oh, what?
Just how to have the holiest children.
Come on.
The holiest. It's in Hebrew.
My children are pretty holy. Seriously,
Yeah.
for sure.
You had some nice breaths prior to the act.
Again, we don't want to hear about it.
Yeah, we don't need to know about it. But some filter. There's some good filtered air.
You're thinking about your wife?
Yeah, of course.
So what's your thought? We're going to go into that later?
You think about another woman.
We're gonna speak more about it later. First of all, some people think about other women when they're with their wife. I know this is hard to believe. Some people are only thinking about the physical aspect of the act, meaning meaning they're not thinking at all. Some people, it's very easy just not to think when
Actually,
you're doing
that's the biggest. They said if you don't think anything, your kids come out the biggest tzaddikim.
Okay, I never heard this before.
No, I'm serious. If you have, if your thoughts are completely empty, that means it's a pure spirituality that's coming straight from Hashem.
Where did you hear
down.
this from?
Forgot it was so.
I need a source.
Source.
From my understanding is not like
No,
that.
I think it was David actually that said it. David Kobo.
Not this one, David.
I know.
Okay, whatever. We'll find out.
This guy's a big
My understanding is prior to the act, why am I doing this right now? If I'm doing this for the mitzvah of Pur Vu, and that's my intention, right? And to make my wife happy and to fulfill my duties as a husband, holy children. And if not, it doesn't mean he doesn't have a holy soul. Because you'll notice, according to the Balatanya, only his garments are affected by that breath. It's not the soul that's affected. The soul actually has nothing to do with the parent.
Yeah.
It's whoever Hashem wants that soul to come down and rectify.
Did you say that before?
I said that before. Okay? It's only the garments. What's the garment? Meaning, how easily or how difficult is it for him to connect naturally to spirituality? That's what he's getting from the parents. But his actual soul, he's not getting from his parents. He's getting from whatever Hashem feels like he needs for his team. Okay? Any other questions?
No questions?
By the way, this just to mechazik us, for probably most of us whose parents were probably not having such
Probably
filtered
had
air
breaths.
in their rooms prior because they weren't learning these things. Even though you can't change your soul, says the Balatanya, you can change your garments. So despite the fact that you've inherited this from your parents, everything you've inherited from your parents you can change. Your soul you can't. So whatever is the level of your soul, that can't change. But the revelation of your soul is in your hands.
Wait, what does that mean?
That means that what? So the garments is like you can only leave your house when you're wearing clothes, right? So that's your clothes are, so to speak, the ways in which you reveal yourself. Does that make sense? So your soul also has clothes. Your soul needs clothes to reveal itself. What are its clothes? It is what your parents gave you. So to speak, what your parents give you is your connection, your natural connection to spirituality. That's the clothes. Now, if those clothes are not pure, they're dirty clothes. So now when you have a very deep soul underneath those clothes, you have a big war going on. A person is going to feel very disconnected, feel like he's missing something, he's not, right? But he's also going to have trouble when he gets it, doing the thing. He's going to have trouble doing the Hippo to do, and trouble learning, and trouble paying attention, and trouble doing all these things at first. But everything in the end depends on his soul. He's capable of completely transforming his garments and making them pure. But the degree to which he's going to need to work to do that is dependent on those garments that he starts with.
Mashiach is going to start off very dirty.
So it seems like apparently from Rav Nachman's Torah and also from the Zohar, Mashiach is going to have the dirtiest garments to start off with. And that's the whole reason why Satan lets his soul come into the world, because he doesn't think he's going to make...
I have a question for you.
Yes.
After the class.
Okay.
It's a long one. Satan knows Torah.